Hey, hey, hey. Time for an out-of-this-world story from our space. My story of being cheated on. My wife and I were together for almost 10 years, married for 6. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but we really loved each other. We both had kids from a previous marriage, and we have a 4-year-old son. In July of 2020, she told me she wasn't sure if she wanted to be married anymore. In the couple months leading up to that, she had become cold towards me, sometimes downright nasty. It was a side I'd never seen of her. And the following week after she told me, I started paying attention to her behavior. I could just tell something was up. I got a hotel one night just to get away from the whole situation. I called her and asked what was going on. She lied repeatedly, but I kept pressing. She eventually broke and told me she'd met someone and that she really liked him. Then proceeded to blame me for the whole thing, and that she never meant for this to happen. The next morning, I came back to the house and packed my things and went to stay with my cousin. Immediately came a barrage of texts begging me to come back home. I really didn't want to be around her. I was disgusted by her. Over the next few weeks, she kept at it. Whenever I came to get my son, she would beg. She mailed long love letters. Eventually, I broke. I had sex with her, and it was crazy good. Hysterical bonding that I've since read about. I ended up moving back in to give her another chance. In no time at all, she started acting cold again. Her affair partner had ghosted her when he heard that I found out. The phone bill backed this up. She's a nurse. He was an ER tech, 10 years younger. We tried marriage counseling. It came out that she cheated on her first husband and left him while he was deployed in Afghanistan. During this time, from looking at bizarre Cash App transactions on her bank statements and questioning her, I discovered that she'd been hiding a long-term addiction to Norco, Adderall, and Coke. I looked at her phone bill again about a month later. His number popped up again, and another number. Found out this one was a firefighter. She said nothing physically had happened, sexting and nudes, but they never met up. We had that Life 360, and that seemed to back it up. I finally Googled the ER tech's number. A woman's name came up. I searched her on Facebook, and there he was. He was married, but I convinced the whole ER he was single. I've confirmed this with my wife's coworker. When I told her, her jaw almost hit the floor, and I started laughing maniacally. According to my wife, his condo was completely bare, like he just moved in. He knew exactly what he was doing. I messaged his wife and told her. She left him and moved out of state. The fireman hooked up with another nurse and didn't want to deal with the drama after I confronted him. I stayed for over a year. I wanted to see my son every day. I didn't want to be a single parent again. It drove me crazy. Couldn't trust her at all. I kept replaying the whole thing and was constantly suspicious she was at it again. I've talked to other nurses I know who work at multiple hospitals. There's a big drug culture in a lot of ERs and a lot of cheating. Nurses, firefighters, cops, lab, respiratory techs, all screwing each other. Not all, not most, but it happened a lot. I would never touch another woman that works in the medical field. Aside from all this, I've dealt with the emotional fallout of what she deals with for years. It's too much. So I moved out a month ago, filed for divorce. I told her it wasn't getting any better and that I'll never trust her. She's writing me letters and texting and looks like she's going to cry every time I pick up my son. But now I know for a fact that going back is just more pain. Every day I feel better. Regaining my confidence and becoming more sure that I'm doing the right thing. My son will be fine even if his parents are together. I'll just come out and say it. If they cheat, it needs to end. It's over. I know it's hard to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I was trapped in an old mess because my mind was still trying to make sense of what was going on. And my self-esteem was shattered. But it will get better if you leave. Thanks for reading. I know it was long, but it just felt like sharing. Our first reaction comes from Thing One Thing. Good for you. I'm on this sub because my husband cheated. He moved out. We're still married. I haven't shared my story yet, but I have to say, I'm so sick of reading, he cheated, I love him, should I give him another chance? Or vice versa. Everyone is responsible for their own well-being. Take care of yourself. Go no contact. There are co-parenting apps you can use, or so I've been told. Next thought from Rubicon Man, 1970. Amen. Mine cheated with 3 different men before she left me for good and married the last one. Bet she will cheat on him one day, and I don't care. She is out of my hair. Bluzz 212121 says, Yup, she'll do it again, but not to you. Glad you're out. The next thought from Fro RA, I'm too old. Too true. That description of disgust. I don't think I ever truly got it until my ex-fiancé cheated. Now I get it. Disgust is real. And lo and behold, she cheated while she was studying to be a nurse. Before I'd met her, I'd always meet nurses and hear about the drama in the affairs and never thought that'd be my ex. Yup. Some real disgusting basic crap there. One more thought from Sin0289. I played the pick me dance with my ex because I loved her and wanted it to work. I will never do that again. If I ever get into another long-term relationship, this will be a boundary I'll hold firm on. If they cheat in any form, I'm out. On to the next story. Boundaries, likely emotional affair, and our wedding guest list. 33 female, me, 55 male, hem. Boundaries, emotional affair, guest list. I have a dilemma. I, 33 female, have been engaged to a 55 male since December of 2019. I was not on social media for the duration of our relationship until recently. He plays in a cover band as a guitarist, and a singer, who he calls one of his closest friends, is constantly posting thirst trap pictures on Facebook. She's his age, but looks a little younger. Although I have experience in modeling because he's a musician, I don't know if that's just more important to him or what's going on. But since making my account, I will mention something that I posted earlier, and he didn't see it, he claims, or he won't like my stuff. But he's always liking her stuff. I understand about Facebook algorithms, but it's really too much. I don't think that's what's going on here. We have that we are engaged on Facebook. Meanwhile, I found some comments on a picture of hers from last year with wolf whistle gif and a Catwoman with a whip gif for a stage costume. Somebody commented about her boobs, and he liked it. Meanwhile, I was dealing with some serious health issues that have thankfully resolved, but I still resent that. He refused to delete his comments until he overheard me telling my stepfather about it, and then he realized I wasn't the only one who knew, and so he knew on a certain level what he did was out of bounds. The singer has had an over 6-year affair with a member of the band. They broke up, he's no longer in the band, and she goes for married men. My fiancé and I are planning to get married in October. I've tried having a heart-to-heart, but he is dead set on keeping that close friendship, the way it is. Prioritized over me, in my opinion. I know they're not having a physical affair, but it sure seems to me to be an emotional one, and I don't feel like I'm getting my needs met. Anyone been in a similar situation? Any advice? What would you do? Thanks so much. Update. I gave him 2 ultimatums. Intense premarital counseling and severely restricting the guest list, especially because he's not paying for it. After he is now fully aware that I have the emotional affair partner's MO, although he insists there's nothing there, he is still insisting she comes to the wedding, and he's going to balk at it when I refuse to have her there, which, again, me and my family are paying for. In fact, their cover band is playing a show right now, and he made a point to call me and tell me that she gave me a shout-out from the stage talking about how, "Ladies, he's taken," and describing me flatteringly. Seems strange. He really wants us to be friends for some reason. Not sure what to do next. We are going out of town tomorrow at my insistence to have a crisis talk. In my opinion, although he doesn't know I am viewing it this way. At first, I just wanted to go alone by myself, but he definitely knew something was up then, and insisted I'm going too. So we have to hash things out, was what I told him. He agreed. We will see. He also said he's not attending counseling because he's not going to dog obedience school, and he gets a right to say who's invited, which he does, but she's the only one we're really disagreeing about. The first response comes from Deloco6913. The actual bigger issue is not her or her MO. It is the way he absolutely is ignoring your feelings regarding her. Do you think being married will change it, or will it make him more cocksure about disrespecting you? You are now getting a glimpse into the reality of marriage with him. Next thought from Scientific Read 7483. If he is that close to retirement and in a cover band, and you are about to make 6 figures, may I suggest a prenup? Or at least consider it. He doesn't seem to take into consideration your feelings, but have you spoken of money? You have a lot to think about, OP. Disastrous Ad 2565 says, "You're too young to spend your life with this loser. He's hiding things from you. He doesn't care about your feelings. He puts down your work. He won't let you take time for yourself, and he's willing to put this friend above you. I think you have a lot of experiences left to have, and he's going to ruin them for you. I'd go on a trip alone, despite his protests, and seriously think about whether this is a relationship I want, because, honey, he's not going to get better with marriage." Next up from Primal Skink. Why on God's green earth are you planning on spending thousands, tens of thousands of your parents' money to marry a broke-ass band having geriatric who wants his affair partner at the wedding? Are you that desperate to get married to someone? Anyone? Our last thought comes from Rage Sadness All in One. Your gut instinct is usually telling you something for a reason. It's not always 100% correct, but it also isn't something you should ignore. His comments on her social media are inappropriate, and in context with her shout-outs to you on stage, this seems really forced. It's not uncommon for those in an affair to push their partner to be friends with the affair partner, thinking it will help avoid detection. None of this means they're in a physical or even emotional affair, but you have seen inappropriate exchanges at least on social media, enough that you have alarm bells ringing. And you already know she has a history of being willing to engage in affairs. I can't see how a boyfriend would stop her. His comment on dog obedience school is really gross and demeaning. Dogs are by nature loyal and loving. He's not willing to take any steps to reassure you or make you feel safe, considering he's interacting in a way that's inappropriate with his woman, who has proven that her boundaries are non-existent. The book, Not Just Friends, may be helpful for you to read, and him as well, but I doubt he will. It might be wise to consider postponing the wedding. At this point, you won't feel comfortable as long as he's working with her because he has poor boundaries and completely disrespects your boundaries. Maybe some kind of realization will come out of these crisis talks, but it sounds like he is completely happy with his behavior and sees no reason to change, which puts you in somewhat of a stalemate.